with 3P Sports, and I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar on how to reduce pitching injuries amongst amateur pitchers. So this evening we have two partners of 3P Sports, and they include Sirius Radio talk show host Jim Duquette and Milwaukee Brewer pitching coach Rick Peterson. Tonight we have the unique opportunity to hear from one of the game's leading experts on pitching, and he will share some of his insights and secrets on how to prevent pitching injuries while maximizing performance. I'd like to thank all of the partners that helped make this webinar possible. Our partners include some of the best baseball academies in the country, as well as premier baseball content providers. These partners include Bigler Baseball Camps in Wisconsin, Frozen Ropes in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, Dartfish Video Solutions, Pro Pitch in Kansas City, Dan Duquette Sports Academy in Hinsdale, Mass., Diamond Nation in Flemington, New Jersey, DiMaggio Sports Training here in New Jersey, B2B Baseball in Pennsylvania, Nashville Training Baseball Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, Frozen Ropes in Wisconsin, and finally, Baseball Prospectus. Before I hand things over to Jim and Rick, I'd like to introduce them a bit. First, Jim Duquette. He has been part of Major League Baseball now for 19 years. He was the general manager for the New York Mets and the Baltimore Orioles. And today, Jim is host on the Sirius XM radio show called MLB Home Plate. And you can find that on XM Station 175 and the Sirius Station 210. Jim's show is on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily. Jim is also known throughout Major League Baseball as a premier talent evaluator. He's often acted as a consultant to Major League Baseball teams to scout players around the world. Rick Peterson, who is joining us from spring training in Arizona, is known as one of the most forward-thinking pitching coaches in Major League Baseball. Rick has been with the Chicago White Sox, the Oakland A's, New York Mets, and of course now the pitching coach with the Milwaukee Brewers. Rick is known throughout Major League Baseball as an expert on the pitching delivery, and he's had a track record of keeping healthy pitchers healthy while maximizing their performance. Rick has coached some of the game's greatest pitchers, including Barry Zito, Johan Santana, Scott Kazmir, and Pedro Martinez. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Duquette. Jim?
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. And, Rick, let's get into this right away. I mean, I want you to go through the history of 3P Sports. First, obviously, when I brought you over to the New York Mets, you brought this program with you. We instituted it with all of our pitchers from the major league level all the way down to the minor league level. But there's a history that preceded that when you brought it to the Mets, and we're fortunate enough to have some really good people involved. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the history and some of the people that are involved in this project with us?
Well, Jim, this has been one of the most unbelievable opportunities that I've ever had in my lifetime. Number one, the mission statement of 3P Sports Team is to maximize performance and to reduce the risk of injury. And in 1989, I was a AA pitching coach for the Chicago White Sox in Birmingham, Alabama. And right before we left spring training, Larry Himes, the GM, called me in and said, Rick, when you get to Birmingham, Dr. Andrews is just opening the doors of the American Sports Medicine Institute lab solely for the study of the biomechanics of the pitching delivery to maximize performance and to reduce the risk of injury. He had just done shoulder surgery on Roger Clemens, and that's why he chose pitching as his first endeavor to study. I just so happened to be the first pitching coach to ever walk in those doors, the first person to ever walk in those doors. And we went back to the Bob Gibson era, look at Bob Gibson, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton, I can go on, and looked at all those pitchers and said, is there something that they all do? And then and that we could build the pitching program around. And the 3P Sports Team is all centered around, number one, Al Leiter. Al and I were together in New York when you're the GM. You know, Al pitched in this system, and he was really firsthand got to see what this system is all about. Tommy Glavine also pitched in this system. Tommy made a lot of adjustments during the latter part of his career, and he was a big proponent and a big fan of what the program was in the New York Mets, which is the 3P Sports or the 3P program. Harvey Dorfman, world-renowned sports psychologist for baseball. You know, obviously yourself, Dr. James Andrews, one of the top orthopedic surgeons in the world. You know, has done Roger Clemens' surgery, Bo Jackson's hip. I mean, he's one of the top in the top. And then Dr. Fleisig, who is Dr. Andrews' biomechanist, he's the one who studied the biomechanics of the pitching delivery, and I worked very, very, very closely with Glenn and really understanding all the measurements in the pitching delivery so that we can build this pitching system and this pitching program. And then, of course, Jeff Mangold, our conditioning expert, 14 years with the New York Yankees, four World Series, set the protocol and conditioning program for the likes of Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte, now CC Sabathia, A.J. Burnett, Roger Clemens. I can go on and on. So his team is the best of the best, as far as bringing together a team that can help pitchers maximize their performance and reduce the risk of injury.
Yeah, no question. There's some good baseball people, both on the field and in the medical and research field. When you talked about the 3P sports program, it's major league proven. This is the program that you have taken with you every step of the way. Oakland, New York, now Milwaukee. Talk about how excited you are about that and how this adapts to the amateur level and the amateur pitcher.
Well, number one, the 3P pitching program is the program that's been at the major league level for over 12 years. And the 3P sports program is the program that we now have brought to the amateur market. So only what a major league pitcher can experience, now we can offer to the amateur pitchers to prevent injury, have pitchers stay healthy, pitch without pain, lengthen their careers, enjoy the game, be able to, pitch in high school, possibly college, and possibly professional baseball. If you have that skill level and that talent level, certainly improve performance, maximize velocity and command, and it allows you to have the edge to literally outperform the competition and allows you to advance to the next level.
All right. So you've talked a lot about this in terms of the makeup of an elite pitcher. Talk, if you would, a little bit about some of the qualities that you've seen in elite pitchers.
Well, let's think about some of the elite pitchers in the game today. So take closers. You have Trevor Hoffman, who has 591 saves. Mariano Rivera, over 520 saves. Take your starting pitchers. You take your Johan Santana, your Tommy Glavine, the best starting pitchers, listed them. What do they do that separates themselves? Number one, they master the pitching delivery. They have the skills to repeat that delivery on a consistent basis to execute quality pitches. Number two, they have mental toughness. They have the capability to be able to focus when all the money is on the table to execute pitches. And if you take a look at their bullpens, I'm going to use Trevor Hoffman right now this spring training. When Trevor has a bullpen, you could put a camera on his face and film his intensity, and it's exactly the same intensity that he brings to the table when he closes out a game. And lastly, they're in excellent physical condition. If they're a reliever, they're able to go out there 60, 70 times a year, 60, 70 appearances. If they're a starter, 32, 33 starts. So their ability to master the delivery, great mental toughness, and a great physical condition.
All right, so let's continue on that topic of the makeup of an elite pitcher, because you've talked a lot about this in terms of preparation and performance. Not just the guy who's the most talented, but also the preparation. But talk to that, if you would, what you've seen at the professional level.
Well, when you take a look at the elite pitchers in the amateur and the professional level, sometimes people think that they equate talent in pitching to high-end velocity. But talent does not equate to performance. Preparation equals performance. That is the equation. So when you take a look at the quality of your workout routines, your conditioning program, what you put into that, what you put into your bullpens, what you put into mastering your craft, mastering your delivery, it's preparation that equals performance. And when you take a look at the elite pitchers, they pay the price in quality preparation so that they can perform at the highest level and untap their potential.